You know, if there's one thing that I love the most, it's a good crossover. Seeing two or more franchises that I love crossing paths and interacting with each other. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with popular crossovers, like Smash Brothers, Marvel vs. Capcom, and to an extent, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I have an idea for a crossover that I think might work. Well, to me at least. Godzilla vs. Sailor Moon. Okay, hear me out. Godzilla has had plenty of crossovers in his time. He's crossed paths with Bambi, Zone Fighter, King Kong, Twice, Evangelion, and even the Avengers. But nowadays, the crossovers he's been in are usually for collaborations with other properties, like Evangelion as previously mentioned, Fall Guys, Giga Bash, PUBG, and Call of Duty of all things. But what about Sailor Moon? Well, I couldn't find any official crossovers she's had. You'd think that considering they were both big properties during the 90s, they'd have some kind of crossover. Heck, Power Rangers crossover with Godzilla, and that was a big hit in the 90s too. But how would a crossover between Sailor Moon and Godzilla work? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking.
Spino, wouldn't it make sense for Godzilla to cross over with Dragon Ball, considering it was also big in the 90s?
Okay, two things with that. Firstly, this is gonna be a big hot take, but I really don't give a crap about big shonen anime, like Naruto, Bleach, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, and so on. I don't care if One Piece gets good at episode 420 or if Boruto has dinosaurs in it. I'm not sitting through over 1,000 episodes. However, if anything, having Godzilla crossover with any shonen franchise actually sounds more likely to happen than a Sailor Moon crossover, but I hope it'll be some other series like JoJo, although that's just me being biased. Ah yes, my favorite stand, Blue Oyster Cult. And before you ask, no, it's not the same type of stand as Star Platinum. And secondly, some of the crossovers Godzilla has been in don't really make sense if you think about it. Would you believe that Godzilla has crossed over with Hello Kitty and Hamtaro? Oh, and let's not forget he crossed over with Charles Barkley too, and he taught him how to ball. But despite Godzilla and Sailor Moon being both very contrasting series, I think I can make crossing both of them work. Plus, I kind of find the idea to be a bit humorous. On one hand, we have a pretty guardian who fights for love and justice in order to keep peace, and would cry if she ever discovered Twitter. And then we have the King of the Monsters, who's an unstoppable nuclear-powered force of destruction, and commits war crimes on a daily basis just for the fun of it. He just wants to meet his genocide quota for the day. So in a way, this contrast between the two series kind of complements each other. So just imagine what will happen if these two cross paths. And that's what I plan on doing today. Now before we get into this, there are a few things I want to go over. I'll start with the Sailor Moon side first. Firstly, this is not a versus debate. If it was, then I would have done a lot more research, like reading all of the manga, watching the entire series, including Sailor Moon Crystal, and the movies. Yeah, for the sake of this video and to get an overall idea of Sailor Moon, I only watched the first season, so if there's anything that I'd missed, I'd like to apologize for that. It would have taken much longer for me to get this video out if I did so. Side note, I watched the Viz dub of the series, so I'm sorry to anyone who are fans of the Dick dub. Secondly, this isn't some random fanfiction I decided to write up, although to be fair I can see why people might view it that way. This is more of what I think might happen if Toei and Touhou ever think about creating a crossover between the two in the future, although it'll probably be a lot more different than what I'm presenting if it ever goes through, and that's fine, I'm not expecting it to. It's just some random idea that I've had in my head for a while, however it'll most likely be some kind of mobile game or brand promotion. Thirdly, in terms of how I plan on presenting this scenario, I was only able to get Sailor Moon herself, so unfortunately the other Sailor Scouts, including the best one, won't be in this video. Not only would getting them be very expensive, having all of them appear in this video would have made things more complicated for me. Now as for the Godzilla side of things, I'll be using the Kirugoji incarnation of the character to depict him. I'm well aware that there are already anime Godzillas that exist, but I want to go with Kirugoji because I really like this design. That and this guy got reissued again, so I didn't want to miss out. But if this crossover were to actually get picked up by Touhou and Toei, they'll probably go with either the Heisei design to fit the 90s theme, Shin Godzilla because he's been used for a lot of crossover promos, or the legendary Godzilla design to be more modern. Also, I'm very limited to effects, which you'll see later, so I'm gonna try my best to present this. So let's see what'll happen when these two cross paths. We begin our story with Godzilla being an absolute menace as he usually is. You know, causing mayhem, chaos, and whatnot. We cut to Luna telling Usagi to transform into Sailor Moon. Now of course I need to win people over by using some nostalgia points, so for the sake of this crossover, I'm gonna bring back British Luna. It's Tuesday, ain't it? Yeah, I am not doing that again. It hurts me more than it hurts you, but it isn't as painful as being British. Meanwhile, Godzilla continues his rampage. All of the other magical girls couldn't stop him. Why? Because they didn't have the power of the moon, dang it. And then, all of a sudden, she appears. After a 30-second transformation sequence. The pretty guardian of love and justice, Sailor Moon. She exclaims her usual catchphrase when dealing with monsters such as Godzilla. In the name of the moon, I'm going to beat you to death. or something like that. Godzilla is unfazed by this threat. Now when it comes to crossovers like these, to keep both sides happy, one of them gets a victory in 2 fights. So for this round, Sailor Moon gets this victory. Now if I remember correctly, I think the only physical attack she made was just a kick. Yeah, her team pretty much carried her in the first season, so I'll just give her a more expanded moveset.
My end is now. Judgment. Die. Prepare thyself. Weak. Crush.
After defeating Godzilla, Sailor Moon proceeds to use her Moon Stick to finish him off, because this figure didn't come with the Moon Tiara action effect piece. However, now that we've given Sailor Moon her victory, it's time for Godzilla to rightfully get his. You would think that this would be a perfect time for Tuxedo Mask to help save her, but he's way more expensive than both Godzilla and Sailor Moon combined, so that's a tough one for her. And now Sailor Moon will begin to learn what Project A119 was firsthand.
This will hurt.
Choke on it, motherfucker! Ah! Ah! You blind shithead!
And so the next victory goes to Godzilla. Now to bring these two properties together, they have to beat an enemy that'll cause them to put aside their differences and team up. Of course, given his popularity as Godzilla's main go-to villain, I'm betting that King Ghidorah will be chosen for both characters to team up and beat in the end. However, I've thought of the perfect monster that could work better in this situation. So let's just say for the sake of this, King Ghidorah is off fighting Sailor Venus somewhere. Considering Sailor Moon possesses the legendary silver crystal, why not have a monster that'll want to go after it? Yeah, just pretend the crystal's on there. This release didn't come with it either. So what will be the perfect monster that'll want to steal that crystal? That's right, I'm going with Crystalak. Okay, for real this time. I've chosen Space Godzilla to be the main villain they'll both have to take down. Think about it. Space Godzilla is a powerful force from space that uses crystals for his powers. Why wouldn't he go after the silver crystal? I would include a Breaking Bad joke here, but I haven't seen it yet. Godzilla looks up ahead and hears something from the skies.
What's your issue? Kill yourself and leave me alone! Stop being toxic!
So Space Godzilla is beating Godzilla pretty badly, and there doesn't seem to be anyone to save him. Thankfully, Luna shows up to wake up Sailor Moon, and tells her that she needs to help Godzilla to defeat Space Godzilla. With that in mind, Sailor Moon rises up like a gamer, and with the help of the legendary Silver Crystal, she powers up Godzilla to defeat Space Godzilla. Godzilla could get like a new form or a new atomic breath from this too.
What the fuck was I? What the fuck was I? You cocksucker!
Think you're better than me, don't you?
I'm coming!
Judgment! Useless!
Yes, that's it!
My end is now! Prepare thyself!
Here we go, it's the end of the show. Hear them, they're calling your name. 'Cause in the end, it's you and your friends. You'll find your flame.
And so, with Space Godzilla defeated, Sailor Moon and Godzilla put aside their differences and go their separate ways. Sailor Moon continues her days being a school student and a champion of justice, while Godzilla continues his days being a menace to society. And that's the end of it. I do hope that someday Touhou and Toei decide to make this happen in some way. A movie may not be likely, but it might take the form of a Universal Japan ride or some kind of merch deal. But whatever it is, I can't wait to see it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that'll be.